We're back joined by John Breech and Tyler Sullivan as this is the best possible news for Anthony Richardson. I mean, he's in the midst of a quarterback competition with Daniel Jones, and so much so that he has not been available these last few years. For what it's worth, he's played in just 15 games across his first 2 seasons in the NFL. But Tyler, despite a limited showing, how are you assessing Indy's quarterback battle following that preseason opener?
Well, the old adage is availability is the ability, right? I mean, for me, it's kind of the same old story. I kind of throw out how these quarterbacks have done, right? Because if your quarterback that you want to start for you to start the season, if we're being honest, the Colts would want Anthony Richardson to take the job and really be that number 4 overall pick that they drafted a couple of years ago. But every time you think, okay, here comes the opportunity, he deals with an injury. He's leaving. He has a dislocated pinky of all things. In a preseason game, you can't even feel like you can get this competition started. And go back to the summer, he was dealing with the shoulder injury that forced him to miss mandatory minicamp, which gave Daniel Jones kind of the inside track of the job. So I wonder how much of a competition this really is going to end up being for the Indianapolis Colts, because yes, they might have dodged a bullet here with Anthony Richardson in terms of his dislocated pinky, but who's to say what's going to come next? Because we have to ask those questions given his prior history of what injury is around the corner. And if that's so, then Daniel Jones is just going to kind of waltz into this week 1 job or at some point during the season. So if you're trying to find an optimistic view of this right now, it's hard to find one, because again, we're trying to look at this competition in terms of what we see on the field. But right now, one of the people that is involved in this competition just hasn't shown the consistency in and out to be on the field to compete for the week 1 job.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Tyler here. There's not a lot of optimism. If I'm the Colts, I'm maybe thinking about running the single wing at this point. Because when you look at Anthony Richardson's track record, we just saw that he's missed 17 games. He hasn't shown that he's able to stay healthy. He takes these big hits all the time. This is not a one-off situation. When you look at what happened against the Ravens, yes, David Ojabo rocked him, but part of it is that Richardson just didn't really show any pocket awareness. The quarterbacks kind of got to realize that that guy's coming untouched. And so when you're taking these hits, and he takes them when he goes off and scrambles, he's taking the hits, and you're a quarterback. You can't be taking these big hits, because this is what happens. You are going to get injured. Feels like Anthony Richardson's made of glass. Every other week we're talking about an injury related to him, and if you're the starting quarterback and the locker room doesn't have any faith that you're going to make it through the season or even a game, that becomes a little bit worrisome. And the other part of this QB competition is that when Anthony Richardson left the game, that was Daniel Jones's chance to kind of grab the bull by the horns. This wasn't a game where he was going to play a lot. Well, it turned into playing more snaps than he was supposed to, and he just couldn't do it. He wasn't very accurate. He could have run away with this competition. He did not. So I'm not sure who's going to win it at this point. It feels like the Colts would prefer Anthony Richardson, but Daniel Jones is playing slightly better. It's anyone's guess. If I'm Shane Steichen, I just flip a coin the day before the opener, televise it, let Colts fans have some fun and go that route.
It sounds like it's Anthony Richardson's job to lose, but I mean, you said it perfectly, Tyler. You know, availability. He has to be able to be on that field, and right now kind of handing that over to Daniel Jones. So Colts got some questions that they need to answer, and they need to start answering them soon. But guys, we do have a full slate of preseason action on Saturday. 16 teams in action. No shortage of storylines in Breech. You got a few players you're interested in. Tell us who to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, let's start with J.J. McCarthy. We haven't seen him in a game since last year when he played in the first preseason game for the Vikings, injured his knee, and then we didn't see him again. I think that it's really... J.J. McCarthy has a ton of pressure on him. That's what this comes down to. The Vikings made a huge risk by saying, all right, we know we went 14-3 with Sam Darnold, but we're done with you, Sam. We are going to go to J.J. McCarthy, and now we're going to see if this gamble pays off. It's been a pretty quiet training camp from J.J. McCarthy. If you go around social media, you'll see highlights from training camps all over. You're not seeing a lot of them from Minnesota. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays in his first preseason game as the replacement for Sam Darnold and potentially the franchise quarterback for a long time to come for the Minnesota Vikings. The second guy on my list is someone I think everyone is excited to watch, and that is Travis Hunter. I can't remember the last time that people were talking about watching a Jacksonville Jaguars preseason game. Well, that's all I've heard about this week is everyone is pumped to see Travis Hunter. He's going to play offense. He's going to play defense. Jags coach Liam Cohen has not been trying to hide the fact that he plans on playing Hunter on both sides of the ball in this preseason game. This isn't some secret weapon that the Jags are going to wait to release in week 1. It is going to happen on Saturday. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays. Is he going to be a better receiver, a better corner? Is he going to be a shutdown corner? Is he going to make crazy catches? So I'm very excited to see Travis Hunter. And then finally, let's stay in the AFC South with the #1 overall pick, Cam Ward. This week, he said his offense was looking mid. For you younger guys, you know what that means. Tyler, you might not. That's not a compliment. That means the offense is struggling right now. And that makes sense because he's a rookie quarterback. He's trying to learn a new offense. He's got new receivers, Van Jefferson, Tyler Lockett. So he's trying to build chemistry with those guys. They're also trying to learn a new offense. So it'll be interesting to see how far Cam Ward has come along so far in training camp. And obviously, it's okay to be mid right now because the goal is not to be mid when week 1 rolls around. So they still have about a month to fix things. And the first step towards doing that will be on Saturday night when Cam Ward makes his NFL debut.
I did have to look up what mid meant while you were talking, Breech, just to make sure we were on the same page here. I'm with you with all of those guys, especially Cam Ward. I feel like he is maybe the most overlooked #1 overall pick in recent memory. I feel like nobody's talking about him going into his first preseason and first season with the Tennessee Titans. And I'm going to stay with the 2025 draft class and stay at the quarterback position because I am fascinated to see Jackson Dart with the New York Giants. Brian Daboll said he is going to play this weekend. And let's see what the #25 overall pick looks like. Again, this is the hope in the prayer for the New York Giants. Yes, it looks like Russell Wilson is going to start the year, but the entire organization kind of hinges on Jackson Dart being good because I think he's going to see the field sooner rather than later. I think that the pressure is going to be too much for him not to see the field at some point in 2025, especially when you look at that schedule for the New York Giants. It is a murderer's row. It's one of the most difficult schedules in the entire NFL this season, which to me leads to ultimately them being out of the playoff race earlier than expected. Russell Wilson seeing the bench, the seat being extremely hot for Brian Daboll, and the only way to save his job is for Jackson Dart to go out there and to perform. And we need to see glimpses of that, flashes of his potential right now in the summer, because that will only build the momentum to eventually see him during the regular season. And if he performs well, that might save the job of Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen in New York. If he falters, well, then we might be seeing this whole thing blow up.
It's going to be interesting to watch, but nonetheless, a lot of first-year players making their debut. How will they perform? Two-way players, quarterbacks. But I'll tell you guys one thing that's not mid, that's you two. Appreciate you both. Thank you so much for stopping by. Well, Tyler will get to see Dart in action Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern as they take on the Bills. The Giants taking on the Bills. Another young signal caller, J.J. McCarthy, will see the field for the first time since his meniscus tear a year ago with the Vikings hosting the Texans. We heard Breech talking about watching J.J. McCarthy and how he plays as potentially the franchise QB. And then the Jets' new head coach, Aaron Glenn's putting his starters out there, including Justin Fields, as the Jets take on the Packers. We are one step closer to football.